I'm back. I'm gonna be doing some more. Subjects are gonna change a little bit. I'm gonna focus more on topics that interest me. Well, it's not that I wasn't interested in my last subjects in my videos, but I wanted to cover things that a lot of people don't know that I actually have a strong passion for and a huge interest in, and that is theme parks. I love theme parks. In this video, I want to talk about my favorite theme park. Well, used to be my favorite, and that is Universal Studios Hollywood, and why, in my opinion, it sucks. Now, I know there are a lot of people that do like the rides like Transformers, they love King Kong 3D, Revenge of the Mummy, and the new Jurassic World, and the Velocicoaster. But there seems to be a lot of things that are lacking in Universal Studios Hollywood. Now, Universal Studios Hollywood is actually doing very well. I mean, if you look at the attendance numbers, they're actually increasing as each year goes by. So they're becoming more popular, and I believe a lot of that has to do with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Jurassic World as well. So let me elaborate more. When I was a kid, Universal Studios Hollywood was my favorite theme park. I chose Universal Studios over Disneyland. It was my favorite. I liked it better than Disneyland, mainly because Universal Studios has intellectual property that I like more than what Disneyland has. They had attractions that were based off of some of my favorite movies. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which is my all-time favorite movie ever. Back to the Future, the ride. Jurassic Park, the ride. King Kong Encounter for the studio tour. Jaws. And the Mummy Maze. I can't remember the exact title of it, but I'll find out soon enough. But it was one of my favorites there. So, ever since they got rid of those rides, and I say they got rid of, everybody says, oh, some of the rides were destroyed. I think they were done deliberately. They were burned intentionally. That's a theory that I have for a separate video. I feel like Universal Studios Hollywood, it kind of went downhill in the quality, or the vibe of it has changed. I think what made Universal Studios Hollywood different is that Universal Studios Hollywood was all about nostalgia for films that were highly successful. I mean, come on, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Back to the Future. These were rides that, Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time. That was another favorite attraction of mine. But something has changed, and I'm not saying Universal Studios is bad. I think it can be better. I know they want to modernize things. They want to keep in touch with this, be relevant. They want to be relevant, keep up with the times. And that's fine. And the problem with Universal Studios Hollywood, the thing is, I don't know what's up with how Universal handles things. Universal Studios Orlando, they're expanding. I mean, we know about Epic Universe that's currently under construction. And Universal Studios, they're not really known to expand their properties. And if they want to have a new attraction, they get rid of one and replace it. I'm not a fan of that. Honestly, really, they could really expand. Some people say they can't, or they, cannot afford. I think it's just that they don't want to. But I wanted to go over a list of attractions that once existed, and if I was the head of Universal, if I was the CEO, and let's say I had some Elon Musk money, if I had $100 billion or something, or $100 billion budget, this is what I would do. These are the rides that I would put in, and rides that I would take out, and rides that I would create. So let's go over the list here. So this is a list of former attractions according to Wikipedia. One of the attractions here, so some of these attractions, like, this was before my time. I'm a millennial, a member of the latter half of the millennial generation. And so I have, with that being said, I don't know anything about the Adventures of Conan, a sword and sorcery spectacular, which opened in 1983 and closed in 1993. And based on the description of it, it says, The Adventures of Conan, a sword and sorcery spectacular was a 20-minute live action stage show that took place in an indoor theater and was loosely based on the film Conan the Barbarian, and it was replaced with Beetlejuice's Rock and Roll Graveyard Review. Now, that doesn't exist because I do not remember that, and the first time I went to Universal Studios was in 2001, 2002, around that time, 2001 or 2002. It was one of those years. Before E.T. 20th anniversary. So it was probably, 01 or just around 02, like when the 20th anniversary was. Yeah, that was the first time I went, and we got on every attraction. Beetlejuice's Rock and Roll Graveyard Review. Let's see, when did that close? Yeah, it closed 1999. Yeah, so I have no recollection. I think those two attractions, they don't need to be brought back at all. Maybe because they are making the new Beetlejuice movie, and depending on the popularity of that, Beetlejuice is popular. It is. It's very popular. It's a cult classic, and it's Tim Burton, for crying out loud. Anything that Tim Burton touches, it's golden. And Tim Burton, he's one of those filmmakers that's like a pop star. He's a pop star filmmaker. He has a huge following, devoted fan base. Yeah, a committed audience. So anything that is Tim Burton, I mean, if we're gonna be real here, they can really make it a separate part of the theme park that's dedicated to Tim Burton films. That would be a huge hit. But the problem is, certain properties, Tim Burton projects, are owned by different studios, and some of these studios have licensing rights of these films, such as Disney owns The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is something that Tim Burton did. Warner Brothers owns Batman, and Tim Burton did Batman 89 and Batman Returns. Six Flags has the licensing rights for all DC properties. So you couldn't make attractions based off of DC Batman by Tim Burton or Nightmare Before Christmas, but they could do attractions, not rides, but attractions in the background, like kind of like Main Street USA. They do an attraction like that, but it's all based on Tim Burton films. You could take some like Edward Scissorhands, Corpse Bride. Even though Coraline is not a Tim Burton film, he did produce it. I believe Henry Selick directed it. And yeah, so you can make attractions based off of that. I really think that there should be an attraction based off of Charlie and the Chocolate. I really think that should be done. Universal could probably get licensing rights from Warner Brothers to do that. I think that would be a hit, because once again, it's a property done by Tim Burton. And Tim Burton, like I said, has a huge following. The Adventures of Curious George. Okay, opening year 2008, closing year 2013. What the heck? Adventures of Curious George. I don't remember this. Let me see. A wet and dry children's playground thing. Okay, so it's not a ride or anything. Okay. Okay, so it was replaced by the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Wow, that really replaced. Like, nobody talks about Adventures of Curious George. An American Tail live show. This was before my time, too. That the first time I went. This was from 1990 to 1997 up in the upper lot. An outdoor live show adjacent to Fievel's Playland, featuring characters from the popular and American Tail animated movie with costume characters, a mechanical tiger, the cat puppet, animatronic mice, and songs. It is similar to an American Tail theater. Now, I don't see this potentially coming back. For sure. An American Tail. I don't even know how popular it was when it came out. Was it even that popular? American Tail, I don't even think it was that popular. Kind of like Where Back, that animated dinosaur movie. Like, nobody talks about that. So with that being said, I'm kind of surprised that there was actually an attraction based off of An American Tail. And this is something I definitely don't see it being a possibility of being resurrected. So, but it was replaced by T2 3D Battle Across Time. Great replacement. Love that attraction. Okay, and then we have Animal Actors School Stage. Yes, I remember Animal Planet Live. That's what I remember. So I guess they changed the title of it, but I remember it. Live animal show featuring animals performing tricks inspired by the cable satellite channel Animal Planet. Alright. So the A-Team live stunt show, Aquazone. Nobody really cares about these. Okay. Back to the Future, the ride. From 1993 to 2007. Opened June 4th, 1993, Back to the Future, the ride was a high-tech simulator ride based on the Back to the Future trilogy and is a mini-sequel to 1990's Back to the Future Part 3. Guests go on a time-traveling adventure to stop the trilogy's antagonist, Biff Tannen. The ride closed permanently on September 3rd, 2007 to make way for the Simpsons ride, which opened on May 19th, 2008. Okay, now that was stupid. That was ridiculous. Now, like I said, expanding their land, expanding their property. Why would you replace Back to the Future? Why would you get rid of it? And Back to the Future is one of those old movies that is relevant, that's still popular among the younger generation. I just saw Back to the Future being re-released at a movie theater just a few months ago, and it was a full house, and we're talking Gen Z and millennials attending there. Even the baby boomers were there, but it was mainly people in their 20s and late teens that saw Back to the Future in theaters. It's still relevant. People still talk about it. It's one of those movies that you have to see this movie before you die. It's a must-see. It's not just a movie, it's a part of American culture, too, American pop culture. So it's a necessity. Why would you get rid of it? Makes no sense. Backdraft. Backdraft was a fire special effects show based on the Ron Howard film of the same name, replaced by Transformers The Ride 3D. I never understood Backdraft, that attraction. I never understood it. Even as a young kid, I thought it was boring. I thought it was just taking up space. It really wasn't needed. Nobody talks about Backdraft. Even when I was on the map, like, Backdraft is not one of those movies, like Back to the Future level or Terminator 2 level. I think Universal Studios needs to focus on both classics and blockbuster-based attractions, blockbuster films. I think that's where they should focus on. How much money did Backdraft make? Let me see. 1991 film with the same name. Okay, so it made $152.4 million in the box office, $40 million, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long regarding its popularity. You bring it up today, nobody even knows. A lot of Ron Howard's movies didn't age well, and when I mean they didn't age well, they didn't last long. They didn't last long. I mean, I remember when the Da Vinci Code was huge. That movie was popular. Now nobody talks about the Da Vinci Code or the sequels. Nobody even really talks about Apollo 13. They don't even talk about that. Probably the only Ron Howard movie that people really talk about are A Beautiful Mind and maybe Willow. Maybe, it's brought up here and there. So I guess those two movies by Ron Howard are still popular. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, the Blues Brothers R&B review. The Blues Brothers show. I think we saw it walking by. I never actually watched it like from beginning to end, but I've seen it like from afar. The Blues Brothers R&B review. Blues Brothers didn't really like once again it's not relevant, so it doesn't need to be brought back. And Creature from the Black Lagoon, the musical. Okay. First off, this came out in 2009, and it ended in 2010. Who in 2009 was asking for a Creature from the Black Lagoon attraction?
So, I saved your life. Now you owe me.
Oh, I let you touch me. Consider us even.
What happened, Kay? Did you see it?
I saw it.
What did it look like?
A vertebrate. Razor-sharp claws. Vestigial fins. Incredible muscle tone. Six-pack abs that would make a girl... Oh, David, hold me.
Of course, Kay, but first, I have to check my instruments. Capitan Miranda.
See?
Hold Kay.
There, pobrecita. Your boyfriend is some Tomcho, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, can I get a hug, too?
I thought you'd never ask. You have nice face. It pleases voodoo spirits.
Thanks. I get that a lot.
Would look good as shrunken head.
Ow! Wow, swimming alone, huh? Is there trouble in paradise? Why don't you ditch David's little dinghy and...
Oh! Ew! What the fuck?
Most people don't even know what that movie is unless you're really into movies. You're really into film. You'll know what it is, but the average Joe and the average Josephine does not know Creature from the Black Lagoon. And a musical? A live performance show based on a 1954 film? That already sounds lame. And it was replaced by Special Effects Stage. Is that still around? Yeah, it's still around. Special Effects Show. I think those attractions are good. You know, displaying special effects, visual effects, animatronics, all of those things. I mean, that's what makes Universal Studios Universal Studios. It's a theme park dedicated to cinema. So you want to show the behind the scenes of, you know, how a movie is developed, how they put together a film. I think those are good attractions. But don't saturate it with them, because then it gets boring. E.T. Adventure. Now, was my favorite ride based off of my favorite movie. Why did they get rid of this? I don't know why. That makes no sense. E.T. Adventure was a dark ride based on Steven Spielberg's hit movie, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, where guests go on an adventure with the title character to his home planet. It closed in 2003 to make way for Revenge of the Mummy. Okay, that opened in 1991, closed in 2003. I don't understand. Why? Completely ridiculous. E.T. is a classic that is, again, still watched to this day. Just got back from seeing the 40th anniversary edition of E.T. in IMAX in theaters. And once again, a lot of young people came to watch. E.T. is one of those movies that everybody watches. And why they got rid of it, I mean, this is 2003, so the movie was still popular. If the movie is still popular today, it was popular back then. So them getting rid of it make no sense. It makes no sense. Revenge of the Mummy, that's a good ride. That is a good ride. But why not have both? And E.T. is probably more relevant based on popularity than the Mummy is. That's baffling. The Fast and the Furious Extreme Close-Up. This attraction was one of the dumbest ones I have ever seen in a theme park.
And go! Smoke! Go! Fire! Go! Okay, we're clear for a full run through. All systems checked. This one's for real, guys, so watch out. And action!
Oh shit! What is that?
Round of applause. Carnage, boys. Take a bow. Thanks. You got anything else for us today? Oh, yeah, boy.
What was that?
I never. This made no sense. This made no sense. It was a dumb attraction. Dumb attraction. Fear Factor Live, a live show featuring 5 different stunts per show. Once again, I never saw the full show, but like I saw that, you know, there were people in line for it. They were there. Jurassic Park the Ride. So here's my issue with this. Jurassic Park. When we all think about the first film, and then The Lost World. Those are the 2 good Jurassic Park movies. All the other ones suck. Don't even get me started. I would much rather watch Jurassic Park 3 50 times in a row than to rewatch any of the Jurassic World movies. That's how much I hate those films. And nobody really digs them either. Nobody's crazy about the Jurassic World movie. Dominion didn't even make $1 billion in the box office. It didn't even make that much compared to the other ones. I mean, it is a lot of money, making over $900 million in the box office, but compared to the previous 2 Jurassic World movies, it underperformed compared to the last 2. But again, nostalgia. Nostalgia sells. It sells. If you don't believe me, look at Stranger Things. People love nostalgia. Some of the most nostalgic people are people that are nostalgic for an era that they never lived. Heck, they weren't even born. A lot of the people that I know that are obsessed about the 80s and 80s pop culture were born in the 90s. And younger people that were born in the 2000s are nostalgic for the 80s and the 90s, for eras that they didn't even live, let alone even were born in. Jurassic Park, it being a 1993 film, and how massive it is popularity-wise, and how much people love Jurassic Park, why they didn't keep it the way it was. Come on, make it a journey through time. What if the first half of the ride is based off of Jurassic Park, and then the second half is based off of Jurassic World? Or have Jurassic World ride as a separate location, because Jurassic World is a separate entity in the franchise. Yes, it is a replacement of the original Jurassic Park, but it's its own thing. I think there should have been more Jurassic Park attractions. I believe there should have been an attraction based off of each Jurassic Park movie. One that's based off of Jurassic Park, another one based off of The Lost World, and another one based off of Jurassic Park 3. But I must confess, I've never been on Jurassic World the ride. However, from what I have seen, I am heavily impressed by it. I really do want to ride it. But, once again, my criticism towards Universal Studios is how they get rid of rides that everybody loves. I remember people were bummed out by the announcement. They weren't thrilled that Jurassic Park was being replaced and Jurassic World was coming in. Regardless of the good reviews that it received, nobody was really down for that. But they like it now, so I mean, at least that's, a plus. But I really do believe that most people would love to have the original come back. And I think that they should bring it back, but as a separate location. That's just what I would do. King Kong Encounter. Now, what surprised me about King Kong Encounter is based off of the least popular King Kong movie. And that's the 1976 King Kong, the one with Jeff Bridges, and what's her name? I can't remember the lady's name. Gosh, can't remember. But the one that takes place in the 70s and King Kong climbs the World Trade Center. That is probably the worst King Kong movie, in my opinion. The worst one. Out of the 1933 film, the 76 one, and the 2005 one. And we'll bring in Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. King Kong. Out of all of those portrayals of King Kong, the one in the 70s is the worst one I have ever seen. The worst one. So when they had an attraction based off of it, it kind of baffled me. I really think, and most people, everybody knows who King Kong is. They know who King Kong is. They know the movie, even if they haven't even seen the movie. They've seen the images. They've seen the merchandise. Everybody knows King Kong. King Kong is a household name. And I believe that you can make an attraction based off any version of King Kong. I believe it can be done. I would love to see a King Kong attraction, because once again, we had an attraction based off of the 70s, and we have an attraction that's based off of the Peter Jackson King Kong. How about a Marion C. Cooper King Kong attraction? The one from the OG one, the very first one from 1933. Why don't we have an attraction based off of this? Especially if we did an attraction based on this scene right here. That would be remarkable. That would be remarkable if there was a train ride, like once again, because in the 70s King Kong there was no bus. In 2005 King Kong there is no bus in it. So, and even it doesn't even make any sense to have a bus in Peter Jackson's King Kong, because you're on an island. There's no bus there. But in King Kong 1933, there's a train. And in that train, King Kong attacks it. So if you took the bus, or make a separate attraction and make it into a train, and the people ride the train, it's not an exact copy of a train, but you get what I'm saying. And then there's an animatronic King Kong that, once again, just like King Kong Encounter, just like the way it was, but designed that version of Kong to look like the one from the 30s. I think that one would be successful. I really do. Because everybody knows King Kong. King Kong is marketable. And you don't have to have seen any of the King Kong movies to, know who King Kong is. The Land Before Time adventure. Okay, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't even know. A live show based on the Land Before Time movies. How did that play out? How did they do that? That's weird. Lucy, a tribute. Oh my gosh. Now, it's an exhibit. But I loved it. I loved going to the Lucy, a tribute. It was a cute environment. Very nice. Very nice. It was a good exhibit. And I think they should have more exhibits, too. Because once again, it's celebrating cinema, and it's not just celebrating Universal properties, but properties done by other production companies as well. So, I think it was a good exhibit. If they did more exhibits, but again, have a good balance of it. I think it should be... Here's how I see it. I believe a third of your theme park should be based off of the rides. Another third is based on the atmosphere, the environment, the surroundings. I think that that's very important. And then the other third, food. Food is so important. You gotta have restaurants or food stands that people will not shut up about. They'll just keep coming, keep talking about it, so that others can come and try it. So I think they should have more exhibits. That's just me. Shrek 4D, a 3D film which is based on the Shrek franchise. Now, I remember... Wait a minute, DreamWorks Theater? What the heck? Hold on, let me check this. Is a motion simulator attraction that opened... So, it's operating. Okay, so this is when you know it's been a long time since I've been, because I've never been to the DreamWorks Theater. Okay. Based on the description of it, it seems cool. That seems cool. Okay. But Shrek is relevant. People love Shrek. They still talk about it. So it is a tragedy that it's replaced, that they got rid of it, and people were pissed. Once again, they were pissed when they announced that Shrek 4D was they were getting rid of it. That's a shame. Another one of my favorites, Terminator 2 3D. A 3D live show which is based on the Terminator franchise, more specifically Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Why did you get rid of it? Now, Terminator is not as relevant, but it's a household name. Everybody knows Terminator. It's a classic. It's one of those... It doesn't even matter if you've seen the movie or not. It's just a good attraction in general. It's just a good experience. And then them getting rid of it is a real shame. Real shame. Okay, so some of the criticisms are that people will say that, oh, it's irrelevant. Nobody knows these old attractions anymore. Like, some people will say Back to the Future is not relevant. E.T. is not relevant. I don't know who you're talking to. I mean, obviously you're not talking to people at all. You live under a rock to make a statement like that. But, okay, but you know what's not relevant, and they still have it to this day, is Waterworld. Who watched Waterworld? I only know one person that actually is a fan of Waterworld, the movie, and that he talked about Waterworld without me having to bring it up. I would have to ask people if they've seen Waterworld. You know, there are certain movies that are conversation starters or people that will automatically bring up, like The Dark Knight, Jurassic Park, Jaws, Back to the Future, Spider-Man. These are movies that people will bring up casually in a conversation. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Nobody brings up Waterworld. I've never seen Waterworld. What? I've seen it when I was a kid, and I barely remember it. I barely remember that movie. I have no interest in rewatching it. No interest. But it's a cool show. It's a cool stunt show. Heck, Ghostbusters is more relevant than Waterworld. But then they'll say, no, Waterworld's a classic. You can't replace that. It's like E.T. was a classic. Back to the Future was a classic. Jurassic Park was a classic. Shrek 4D is a modern classic, but you got rid of them. Are you serious? Come on now. Just completely absurd.